Hey guys, so today we are going to be making 3rd degree burns. I just made the other video with the wounds, so now we're going to do burns. For this one, you will need hot water. It needs to be about 120 degrees. It'll be a little toasty. If it's so hot that like you can't touch it without almost crying, it's too hot. It needs to cool down a little bit, but it should be pretty warm. You will need a tablespoon, a 1/4 spoon for your glycerin. You will need some gelatin. You don't want to use like actual jello. This Knox gelatin is the best stuff to use. You're gonna need like some toothpicks or something to stir this all. You'll need a small container as well. You'll need black and red face paint and or tempera paint, paintbrushes. You'll want some like red beans, some black beans, some bacon bits. These will add texture to our burns to make them look more realistic. You'll want some red food coloring and a little bit of black food coloring. I'm actually out of black food coloring, so I'll probably just use like a little bit of green or a little bit of blue instead. Alrighty, it looks like we are ready to get started. So first thing we need to do is we need to make our mixture. So to make the mixture, let me move this stuff out of the way. To make the mixture, first thing we are going to do is take one of these packs of gelatin and pour them into our small container. Alright, so that's what we start off with. 1 packet of this gelatin. Then we are going to add 1/4 of a teaspoon of glycerin. Glycerin is what is going to help our stuff become really sticky. So you're going to add this to it, and you're going to use your toothpick or your Q-tip, whatever it is that you have to mix with, and start mixing your stuff up. It's going to look really, really crumbly after you do this, because that's just what the glycerin does. The glycerin, it'll stick to what it can stick to, and it'll just look kind of gross. This is going to sound really gross, but the best way to describe it is it's kind of just going to look like you have a lot of clear boogers inside of some sand. I know it's gross, but it is what it is. Mix it up the best that you can. It's hard to mix it really well because, again, it's not a lot of glycerin and it's kind of a lot of gelatin. All right. Now we can go ahead and add our beans and our bacon bits. You don't want like so much that it overpowers the entire thing, but you'd want like 10 beans and a small amount of bacon bits. Good. If you don't have enough, it'll just look weird. It'll just be like really gooey nothing. Whereas these add all that bumpy texture that you would get with a really bad burn. So 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm gonna add a few more. I don't have any red beans with me, so mine are only gonna have black beans. Mix it up, see if it looks like there's a good amount of everything in there. All right. That looks pretty good. I'm gonna add 5 drops of my red food coloring. And again, this is gonna do the same thing as the glycerin. It's all gonna stick to the food coloring. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Mix that all up. And like I said, I don't have any black food coloring with me, unfortunately, so I'm gonna try to use a little bit of green. If you watched the other video on how to do, actually I'm gonna do a tiny bit of blue. Do I have any green? Here's some green. If you watched my other video on the wounds, I talked about how you don't want to just use red because red becomes too bright and then it looks very fake. If you use too much black or too much green though, it'll do the same thing. It's just it'll become too dark and again, it'll look fake. Now, if you ever want to do like some zombie makeup or anything, you could just use green or aliens. Same for the fake blood in the other video. That's an option that you can always do. All right. Get that all nice and mixed up. Then we're ready to add water and move on to the next part. Alrighty, so now is the part when we have to work fast. You need to take the hot water. Make sure it's hot. It's not so hot that it'll burn you, but it does need to be pretty hot. You're going to take 1 tablespoon of it and add it to this mixture. Then you have to work really fast. So we're going to have to stir it nice and quickly. And this is going to smell gross. I'm not going to lie. It smells nasty. Mix it up really fast. And then add it to your skin. Some of my old students like to do this with gloves because they didn't love the way this felt. It was all gooey and gross. Make sure near the edges you kind of smooth it down flat. Try to keep all the bumps in the middle. Again, notice how I'm trying to work kind of fast, because once it starts getting kind of sticky feeling, you're pretty much out of time. That means you took a little bit too long. Over here, it's a little bumpy. See, it's already getting sticky on me. My water cooled down a little bit too much during the video, but it's okay. All right. So it'll look something like this. All right. Now, just like with our first wound, we are going to use some face paint. So I'm going to start off with some red. And on the outside edges, I'm going to dab it with the red. Using the makeup sponge instead of some paint brushes this time, so you can see how to do that. So again, it's just dabbing and dabbing. Really focused where you can see the edges really well. Like over here, this is where I kind of messed up and I didn't get it smoothed out fast enough. The hotter the water is, the more time you'll have to actually get it smoothed out the way that you want it. However, if it's too hot, it will burn and it won't feel good. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you touch the water before you just like go pouring it into your mixture. All right. Now, I'm gonna take some black paint and I'm gonna stipple. I'm kind of stippling all over. I'm really stippling the most around the edges to make it look like it's been charred. But I'm also going out here into just the red face paint area as well. If you want to, you can also go over some of the areas inside a little bit too to make it look charred. I'm gonna go back with my red. Dab it out again. Again, you can get face paint at Walmart, especially around Halloween time or off the internet. Granted, this stuff from Walmart, it's not the best. It does not do the best job blending and all that. Like, it gets all funky. I'm going to use some of these paper towels and a little bit of water to kind of blend out these edges. Whenever I'm blending, I'm kind of just pushing down and out. So that way there's like a nice smooth transition into my skin. Here we go. I think I'm going to go back in with a little bit more black, especially here on the edges. This is what really makes the look, is adding the black. I was actually looking back at some old pictures the other day from whenever I first started learning how to do this, and I didn't add the black charring part here because I didn't think it needed it, and honestly it looked so good, except for the fact that I did not add this dark part right here on the middle. This is really what makes it. Now I have like an obvious like red versus black part here, so I'm gonna go back to this. Just like with the wound, the blending part is probably the hardest part because you just have to keep going back and forth, back and forth. Alrighty. And there you have it. I think the wound is probably, or that the 3rd degree burn is probably a little bit easier to do than our wound over here. But they're both pretty easy. You might need to buy a few of the ingredients, but a lot of the things you probably already have in your house to make both of these things. Also, it is almost April Fool's Day. Please don't fool your parents with this. Don't make them think that you had some sort of terrible accident. But if you want to trick some of your friends on Snapchat, post it to your story and be like, oh no, this just happened. I did that with my friends all the time, and I still do it sometimes, and people still freak out. So, little fun April Fool's Day trick for you there. But again, please don't trick your parents or your grandparents or anything. I don't want them being worried over you. They're already worried about enough right now. So, there you go. Make sure you email me if you have any questions, and I'll be happy to help you out.